What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Dream Firms Spotlight. My name is Tyler S. Clark, co-founder of Dream Firms, where we help you to create your dream accounting firm. And while that may mean different things to different people, one of the loftier goals you'll see a lot of people set but struggle to reach is that vaunted $1 million in revenue milestone for an accounting, bookkeeping, and or tax firm. So I want to share with you the 4 critical skills required to reach this milestone and ideally go up and above it. And the nice thing is, even if you don't have the dream of being a 7-figure firm owner, these will serve you just as well, even if you're trying to get to your first 6 figures or add your next 6 figures of revenue. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the very first one that I want to cover is honestly the most important. It's the meta skill. It is the skill that allows you to get all of the other skills, and that is learning how to learn. So the skill of acquiring skills is the most valuable skill you can possess. And normally, why you are stuck is because you have not embraced the development of the skill you need to get to the next level. One of the most fundamental skills that I see people struggle with is they may be great technicians, which is, again, a precursor to having an accounting firm. There was this funny kind of thing years ago where it still goes on today to a certain extent, but people will say, you can start an accounting, bookkeeping, or tax firm with no experience in accounting or tax. And that person doesn't say that anymore. Of course, they pivoted to go do some other stuff. And the people who bought into that course, as far as I know, never actually became successful with their promise of becoming an accounting firm without actually being an accountant. So point being is, you can buy into the hype of like, yeah, you can do this thing, but you still need to be able to do the thing before you use it as a business opportunity. Like the idea that anyone would start an accounting, bookkeeping, or tax firm and not have the skills of an accountant, bookkeeper, or tax preparer is crazy to me. There's a underlying principle to being successful at developing the skill of marketing and sales, which is you have to believe in what you sell. And if you've never done it before, if you've never seen the impact of what you do before, if you've never actually seen it change someone's life for the better, how good are you at marketing and selling a service you know nothing about? Terrible. If you don't have the skills associated with delivering on the promise of the service or product that you're making to the market, you should develop those skills first. Okay? And so again, learning how to learn is number one. And what you're really looking to do here is acquire rapid skill acquisition, pattern recognition. So you'll be able to identify bad clients, good processes, bad processes, good softwares, bad softwares. You're also going to be able to be better at critical thinking and synthesize information better, because if you know how to learn quickly, you know what bad education looks like, you know what good education looks like, you know what good mentors look like versus what bad mentors look like. So you continually just get better and better. And the nice thing about this meta skill of learning how to learn is it's iterative. So you only fail when you give up. It's a platitude, but it's true. And it's especially true in education. You suck the first time you do anything, and you suck a little less the next time you do it, until one day you realize you're really good at it and you're an expert at it. So just again, know everything is changing. One of my favorite quotes from when I was a philosophy major and I had hair down to my shoulders is change is the only constant. It's by Heraclitus. And change is accelerating, whether it was the move to the internet, whether it was the move to cloud computing, whether AI, obviously change is going to keep happening. And if you have the meta skill of learning how to learn, you'll be able to embrace this change, accelerate with it, and ultimately benefit from it. So those who can adapt and learn, well, they win faster. The second critical skill to building a $1 million accounting firm is emotional self-regulation. What does that really mean? Let me give you a visual example. I consider entrepreneurship to be the hardest path. And the reason it's the hardest path is because it is full of what I refer to as a lot of peaks and valleys. You can see there's peaks on my proactive shirt, right? Say proactive out there. And the reason that these are tough is because you experience really high highs and really low lows, and you will ping pong back and forth between these, and it's hard to find a middle ground. And so what you don't want to do is you don't want to get too excited when you have a big win, and you never want to feel too down when you are struggling to develop a skill, get a breakthrough, handle a problem. This is just discipline. Another sort of stoic philosophy, right, is what are you truly in control of? And if you think long enough and hard enough about this, is you really only have control over your emotional state. And if that's the one thing you know for a fact you have control over, and if you look across all of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, you'll see that they are usually pretty even keeled. Yeah, you'll see the ones that maybe play a character and act a little crazy or have some showmanship. But as a general rule of thumb, the best ones are consistently in control of their emotions. And so think of this as impulse control. If you're familiar with the marshmallow test, that is basically an impulse control test for if you are willing to wait for a reward. And for those unfamiliar, you put a marshmallow in front of a kid, you say, don't wait, don't eat this marshmallow. Some of the kids immediately eat the marshmallow as soon as the parental or authority figure leaves the room. And the kids who did not eat the marshmallow would be rewarded with an additional marshmallow. They track that over a longer period of time. And the kids who displayed impulse control early on in life ultimately wound up being significantly better off, as a general rule, than those who cannot display impulse control. The next thing that, again, is in emotional self-regulation is in accounting and tax is there's a lot of pressure around deadlines. They're trying to pressure you to do things that you know are wrong and having a hard time explaining those things. And so management of that stress and pressure, or fear management, is critical to being able to just, again, not feel that overwhelm. Struggling entrepreneurial accountants, they generally have that feeling and emotion consistently across the board, but the ones who are crushing it, they almost find a way to disassociate from it. They don't let those emotions ultimately determine their actions. Everyone thinks that everything has to be perfect. And there's an old expression that a lot of people will disagree with, but close enough is good enough. In a service where you can be perfectly right, you're not always going to be right 100% of the time. And you have to be able to just recognize that, A, that's okay. You can own it. You can move past it. And in reality, most people are never going to notice the difference if you are pretty darn close. So again, some people get mad when I say that. Close enough is good enough. But I think, again, that comes back to, like, if you get mad about that, are you living in the land of reality in terms of what clients are going to be happy with, what you can be happy with, or are you really fighting and battling and going a million extra miles for something fundamentally no one's going to care about and you're ripping your hair out over? Just some food for thought. Third critical skill here, clear, persuasive communication. But I wanted to carve out a special emphasis on persuasion. The reason that you will not be able to reach $1 million in business is because you have a hard time letting go of control. Part of the reason you have a hard time letting go of control of your work product or any aspect of your business is you struggle in being able to persuade people to do things how you want, when you want, and that's basically it. And persuasion is, if you could only master one skill to build $1 million firm, I'd argue persuasion is the most important one. You could be an emotional recluse, but if you could persuade people that, hey, that's normal, it's part of business, it's fine. There's a lot of manipulative people out there who bad managers, really aggressive, crazy horror stories in accounting. Just go on r/accounting and read them. They're insane. I'm not saying anyone should be doing that, but my point is like, if you could persuade people to continue to work despite crazy conditions, you can still find a way to do it. Now, the good news is if you're actually persuasive and you don't have those negative, those ridiculously negative aura or baggage that comes along with not regulating your emotions or failing to build systems properly, and there's a lot of reasons for why people behave that way, well, then you can persuade people to get the best out of them in the best possible conditions, and you can continue to grow a team and a roster of dream clients, because persuasion is literally how you get someone to see things the way you want them to see them. And if you can get everyone seeing things the way you want them to be seen, quite frankly, you end up with a dream firm a heck of a lot faster. It's why one of the big things we emphasize with our clients is how clear are the expectations? How are you communicating them? How frequently are you communicating them? What's the benefit of complying with these things? And if you look at the most common reasons why people leave their accounting firms, literally number one is poor communication. And you can just say they're not persuasive. They're literally not communicating they're not establishing the expectations of when to communicate, how to communicate, what to communicate on. And then the clients feel like they're not getting the love, or they're too slow in getting responses to them. And ultimately that leads to disappointment and frustration from both the accountant and, of course, the client. And it's easily avoidable. I have a joke that I tell clients a lot, which is like, if you want to increase client retention dramatically, just ask your clients how they're doing today. Now, it's not a funny joke because it sounds so basic to most people, but it is the type of thing that people will skip over. And all of a sudden it shows empathy. It shows you're more interested in what's going on. You're not just like digging immediately into the technical details. You are going beyond that. And all of a sudden that opens up the door to being more persuasive in other ways. So again, listen, get better at storytelling, teaching, and simplifying complex things. And as always, display empathy when possible. The fourth and final one is long-term thinking and with short-term execution. So the problem that tends to materialize with entrepreneurial accountants is they love to live in the land of long-term thinking and tweak and perfect, there's no such thing, perfect their plans for the future, and they are terrible with consistent short-term execution. And I can give I can give tons of examples of this, but one of the more obvious ones is I'll ask accountants, do you want to grow your business? They'll go, yes. And I'll go, do you agree that producing content is beneficial to helping you to reach the goal of growing your business? And everyone will raise their hands. They'll go, yes. And I'll go, okay, keep your hand raised if you have produced a piece of content in the last week. Almost every single hand goes down. And so they know the benefit of it. They agree with it. And then they don't do it. And there will be all sorts of reasons, excuses, they're synonyms more or less for why they can't. And then you walk through each of them. And even if you dismantle all of them, if you ask the same question again a week later, I promise you the variation there's almost none. Like everyone is still like, I haven't done that yet, even though they know the benefit of it. And it's in their strategy plans. It's in the vision they have for themselves in the future. They have all the technology. They have the exact blueprint. They'll know how to do it, and they're still not doing it. And so this is, I don't want to go too deep into the psychology of it, but you can't build any sizable business if you're too focused on either short-term execution, which is where you see a lot of firms just stuck in a loop of doing the same things over and over and over and over again. They have no long-term vision, so they're not strategically changing anything. Or you have ones that are only thinking about the future, and they're not even getting off the starting block. You've got to have a vision for the future. Okay, if you just consistently crush one meaningful objective per quarter, you won't even recognize your business in 2 or 3 years from now. It will be so radically different. But what usually happens is we get 80 to 90% on something, and it's just almost good enough, and then we switch gears over here. And then you end up with like 20 projects, none of which are done, and then you feel overwhelmed. And then you go, I don't know what to focus on. And normally I just go, one of two things, right? A lot of people struggle with what should I focus on, like what actually moves the needle. And I have 2 ways of solving this problem, okay? It's just a choice. You either pick the one that has the most impact or easiest to implement, okay? So like easy to implement is usually like changing or updating a process that you know has been broken, like attaching a Loom video to a process that you know your team struggles with. It's like, it takes like 15 minutes of effort. Is it going to radically change your business? No. Does it let you build momentum to be like, oh, cool, that one was easy, done. That one's easy, done. And so that's typically the way I ask my clients to approach it, is one or the other. Either go for most impact, preferably, or if you're someone who needs to build some momentum, knock out some easy ones, just go for easiest to get done, okay? And I'll have, you guys know I like to have my bonuses here. I like to make sure people are rewarded. So if you stuck around till the end, there's actually a secret fifth one. As you continue to grow your business, you will have shifts in your identity. And this is just, it goes back a little bit to the point of I made in the beginning of like learning is the meta skill. But part of what you choose to learn is supposed to be aligned with the identity you're looking to adopt or become. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think people here change your identity and they assume that means like be a fraudster or be a chameleon. It just is a way of saying like if you feel imposter syndrome, very common, right? I don't feel like I'm good enough, or am I really an expert? You combat that by just saying, I'm becoming someone new. I'm in the process of becoming someone new. And so if I want to be thought of as a forward-thinking CEO who manages, a high-performing team, but I'm a solopreneur and I don't really have the skills of a CEO who runs this type of really large business, well, then you have to be like, well, what are the actions that person would be taking? Like, how do I shift my identity from who I am right now to the person that I am becoming, that I would like to be? And if you're intentional with that decision, to me, it really just helps again with like solving the curse of the entrepreneur. And I summarize the curse of the entrepreneur is when you can do anything, when you choose to be the master of your own destiny, what do you pick? How do you know what to pick? And my general answer to that curse, or the cure for the curse of the entrepreneur, is you pick learning the things that align with the identity of the person you'd like to become. In other words, it's the dream you have of your future self. It's the dream you have of the future role you have in your firm. Because if you're stuck doing low-level tasks, if you're stuck doing administrative stuff, if you're stuck doing, it doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't even want to be doing sales anymore. Doesn't matter what the thing is. Transitioning from that to what you'd like to be doing all the time is fundamentally, it's an identity shift. You have to become a better manager. You have to become a better delegator. You have to become a better leader. You have to become a better communicator. And then you go, okay, cool. Of all those things that I'm not that good at right now, how would I get better at it? Who's the person that I'd go to learn from it? And how will that help me shift my identity from the person I am today to ideally becoming the leader of my dream firm, the moniker we use for our clients. So I hope this has helped you to identify really the 4 skills you need to build a $1 million or more accounting firm. If you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. And if you would like to learn more about how we can help you to do that and all the things we've discussed, well, quite frankly, we'd love to have the opportunity to talk to you. There'll be links floating around down below this video. Remember that only you can create your dream firm, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Have a fantastic rest of your workday. And remember to please stay proactive out there. Your dream clients deserve it. And I will see you guys inside the Dream Firms Network.